Okay, let me start. So, yeah. So so this session is about enriching your data by cooking some recipes in Google Cloud Data Prep. So let me elaborate why I have given such a name and what is the reason behind it. So Cloud Data Prep is nothing but your data preparation tool, or you can say it is the tool which comes under big data, wherein you can transform, prepare your, cleanse your data and gather some useful or meaningful insights. And that's why I have given this name enriching data. And why by cooking recipes? Because recipe is one of the term in or one of the object in data prep, and that's why I have given such a name by cooking recipes. So yeah, so when we so this is as I mentioned, this is a big data tool. So when it comes big data, you should be knowing what are the three V's of big data. That is nothing but volume. Uh, I can hear some echo. Okay, so when it comes to big data, there are three V's: volume, velocity, and variety. So for a data engineer or data analyst in day-to-day life who needs to deal with such a big data, he needs his 80 to 90% of time is spent in data cleansing or data preparing. So and most of them feel it very boring task, including me. So and when we start, we really get stuck from where should I start, and that's why I have given this picture wherein at some point you feel I have no idea what exactly I am doing and what I need to do it. There is a much difference between the expected and the output which I am getting. So this is very data preparation is a step uh, which is very time consuming and boring, I can say. So for that, uh, Trifacta came up with such a tool, which is nothing but data prep, which is nothing but very easy click through tool, uh, very handy UI which it has. So let's start. So today we are going to see what exactly data prep is, why do we need data prep, where does it fit in GCP architecture, what are the features, and I mean what exactly we can do uh, with data prep, how it works in backend, what are the different data prep terms or objects which you need to be familiar in order to work with this particular tool. Then how much I do get charged, and how should I allow data prep to work, and how does it work in backend. This is what we are going to see. And as part of demo, I'm gonna show how you should import or export data, what are the different destinations and source you can use, how you can create flow and recipes, and how you should run and schedule those data prep jobs. So let's start with what is data prep. So let me tell you, data prep is not a Google Cloud service. It is a service which is operated or which is discovered by Trifacta, and Google GCP is just using data prep as a service to enable users to prepare their data. So when it comes to your uh, data, data preparation, it handles data very intelligently. So when I say intelligently, how does it handles it uh, intelligently? Because it has a it gives you an ability to deal with structured as well as semi whether it is structured or unstructured or semi-structured data. So that is nothing but remember one of the V, which is nothing but a variety of data you can handle. Then when it comes to volume, it handles um, MBs to petabytes of data, which you can cleanse and refine using this tool. Then yes, why it is so clever? Because it doesn't you don't need to write any code. That's the basic and most important thing. It is serverless, like your BigQuery, and you don't need any what do you say, any infrastructure, or you don't need to install any software in order to use this particular data prep as a service. So yeah, you can scale it on demand or at any scale. That is the feature. Then it it is it is very simple, easy to use. Anyone who is not even familiar with coding part, he can also refine the data. So yes, it is fast and because it quickly lets you explore your data and lets you detect your anomalies. When I say anomalies, you can detect missing values or any mismatch values, or what are the outliers in your data. So this is how it becomes very powerful, powerful and easy data preparation tools. And you don't need any extra licensing cost, or you don't need to bother about any other operational overhead, being as it is being the serverless. And it uses data proc very sorry, it uses data flow in a backend whenever you create a particular set of steps or recipes. So this is all about the overview. So why do we need data prep? As I already mentioned, data engineers or data scientists or data analysts, they want to they want data wherein they can uh, quickly analyze or use the data for reporting, machine learning, or AI, ML thing. So the first basic task which they need to do is importing the raw data. Then you need to explore what exactly the outliers in my data. You need to cleanse that data. Then you need to structure it and enrich and then validate. Then only you will be able to uh, have your actual analysis on that particular data. So where does it fits in a data in the GCP architecture? So for any tool, big data tool, the first step is you need to extract data, then transform. It is like your ETL: extract, transform, and load. So in order to extract data, uh, each supports or import data. It supports BigQuery, cloud storage, and file upload, these three options. Then once you fed in this data and you extracted raw data out of this particular imported data sets, then you can feed it that data to data prep, which in background you converts your flow into a data flow job. And performs all the steps which you have mentioned and refine and gives you back the refined data, which you can again store it in your cloud storage or BigQuery, and you can further analyze it using BigQuery ML, or you can or Cloud ML engine, or you can perform some reporting, or you can create dashboards using Data Studio or any of the visualization tools. So let's come to what are the features for data prep. So when I say automator, it is nothing. It relates to the scheduling. So when you create jobs, either you can create it run it manually, or you can schedule it. So suppose I have created a particular job, and I want to and I just tested it, and I want to perform this activity on a daily or weekly basis, then I need to schedule this particular job on a recurring basis. That's where the automator comes in. Cluster clean is actually it is nothing but you're standardizing your data. So the term cluster clean and standardization, they both uh, enable you to standardize data. So what I mean by that is nothing but grouping or clustering similar values in one particular column, and uh, then you can perform monitoring of your job, which is using this UI. You can create a macros also, or you can import macros which are already defined by Trifacta. So when I say macros, macros are nothing but some functions which you can once create, you can reuse them in your uh, further recipes or further jobs. And for example, I will give you one example wherein I have a CSV, and that CSV has some headers. So this CSV headers contains some spaces. So I don't want columns which has spaces, because when I will extract it, it may give you it may give you a wrong interpretation, or it may uh, uh, provide some problems in order to what I say querying data. So that's why what I can do is I can create a macro wherein I can replace all the headers, all the headers wherein there is a space. You can replace it with underscore, and you can apply it to one particular recipe. And once you have created that and verified that macro, you can apply it to any other recipe. So that's the macro. So, what exactly operationalization means? It is nothing but a general class which can enable you to perform repeated operations on your data. So consider when you're so for a developer, there are three environments: dev, test, and then prod. So if you have created a recipe, you can uh, perform the same repeated operation on the production data as well. Parameterization, it is nothing but so for any developer, he prefers not to hard code your uh, your data. So by means of parameterization, we assign some dynamic values, and yes, you can do that in your data prep also. You can apply parameterization to your what I say data set or flow or output. Then you can perform pattern matching. Yeah, this is one of the best session uh, uh, which best feature which Dataprep performs. So considering a column, it gives you what exactly you can do, uh, or what patterns, or what type of regex you can apply. Then predictive transformation, it is nothing but uh, your foundation, wherein uh, whenever user some clicks on one particular column, uh, how on that particular column, if it is string, what all uh, functions or what all uh, operations he can perform, it automatically predicts that. Then rapid target, it is nothing but your when you it is not so it is target. When I say target, it is nothing but your uh, uh, data which you want at the as part of your destination data set. So what set of columns and how you want to arrange them, or what formats you want to prefer, that you can do this in rapid target. Sampling, when I say sampling, it's simple. You perform these transformations on some samples of data. When So let me show. Okay. Uh, so instead of going through all this boring stuff, I think let me show you. I have already imported, so let me show you. Uh, okay, this is my console, GCP console. I am in this particular project, that is Supriya project. I have some 4 projects, but I have enabled data prep for this particular project only. And I have this BigQuery data set, which is nothing but streaming. And inside that, I have some 3 or 4 columns. And I have enabled data prep for this particular uh, project. So how I can verify that I have enabled? So if you can see, this is generally a data prep console. If you can see there, this URL is different. Why it is different? Because it is not a product which is developed by GCP. It is a third party product which we are using as a service. So this is the home for data prep, wherein you can, what exactly you can do is you can import data, you can create flow. And so this is related to a particular project. When you, so consider this, as it is a third party tool, you have to provide access to this particular tool to the project which you wanted to. So I have provided access to this particular project only, so you can see, and this is the only one which is active. This symbol shows flows which are available, uh, or which you can create. Then this is a library. So let me show you. I have already created 2 flows. So that's why you can see one is for loan and other is for streaming. And you can see all flows owned by me or shared with me. So if you that is nothing but our next feature, which is nothing but sharing. So yes, you can collaborate, you can share your flows with your team member, so that you can jointly work together and create a template of that, which you can run in any other environment. So you can import or suppose if some particular member has already created a flow, he can import that particular flow. So don't worry what exactly this flow or recipe is mean. I will go through it one by one. So this symbol indicates library. So when I say library, it shows all your data which you have imported, which you own or which is shared with you. And the imported data sets is nothing but it is just nothing but a reference to the data set which you have imported. And references, yeah, it is the data which you have referenced. And macros, which I was talking about, you can import macros from uh, this trifecta, or you can create your own macros. And at last you can run jobs whenever you are done with all the steps. Then you can view all your jobs: completed, failed, cancelled, running, and queued job. Or you can search your jobs which you have created. So let me show you. So at first you need to create uh, so let's start with home. So there are two options: you can either import data or you can create data. So let me create a flow for let me I'm creating a flow. So what is flow? So Uh, flow is nothing but your container which holds your all your data sets, all your recipes, or any other objects which are imported from multiple uh, sources. So herein, whenever I am creating a flow, it is giving me an option to add data sets into this flow to start wrangling. So wrangling is nothing but your data cleansing. So I'm just adding these particular data sets. So the if you can see, this is these data these are the tables which I have already added, and that's why those are visible. But if you uh, are miss you if you have started this as a new, then you won't see any data sets. So let me show you how you can import data sets. So if you'll see, there are three options by which you can import your data. So one is your upload from your local file system. You can consider any if you have any CSV, JSON which you want to import, that you can perform. Then GCS, so it automatically shows what are the uh, buckets which are available as part of this particular uh, a project which I shown. And inside that project you can see what are the data sets which you can uh, import. Then third is your BigQuery, and remember I have this streaming data sets, and inside that these are the three uh, data these are the three tables which I have already imported, and I want to import this particular so it automatically shows the tables. And now I'm gonna add this particular uh, what I say data set, and you can preview the data or you can edit settings. So this is the same data which I have in this particular table preview. So it's automatically shows you 6 columns, and it is inferring the column data types from BigQuery. So this is integer. When I say this clock symbol, it indicates this is a date time column, and ABC shows for a string. So this is how you are going to explore import your data from BigQuery. So let's go back. So when I say standardization, let me show you. So I have added a new recipe. So what is recipe? It is nothing but a sequence of steps which I'm going to perform in order to transform this particular data and store the refined data. And now I'm going to edit this recipe because it is not giving me. So when you click on edit, it just tries to load a sample of data. So this that is nothing but sampling, and let it import. I think this is not properly imported. Full data. Okay, this is I think imported in JSON format. So anyways, I will show you one particular flow wherein I have imported the streaming data, and this is the recipe which I have created. Okay, so when I say standardization, how I standardize your data, you can group together the similar values in one particular column, and you can TB, which is nothing but transformation by example. You can provide an example so that it can understand how means what exactly I want from that particular column. And visual profiling, it provides you visualization interactive tool by which you can convert, cleanse, and discover your data. So yeah, so this is a particular data which I have imported. Now you can see this is a grid view of data, and it has a 6 columns, so it has automatically detected. And how many rows? 30,530 rows, and it has 2 data types because it has already inferred it from the BigQuery. And so when I say, so if I click on this particular column, user's IP, it shows all the details related to this particular uh, uh, column, like what are the valid values for this particular column, or mismatched, or any missing values, and what are the unique values. And it also shows this histogram, which I mentioned, visual profiling. So, and it gives you auto suggestions. So, what suggestion it is giving you? You can delete column, you can rename it, or you can group by. Means you can perform some aggregations, or you can create a new column out of that using some count or range function, or you can have just unique values from this particular column. If I click on this particular icon, you can see more options wherein you can rename this column, you can change the data type to any other, like string, integer, decimal, boolean, or date time, or object, or array. Then you can move that column to add to end, or before any, or any after any particular column. You can either hide it, you can format. So if for example, if it is a string and it is in lowercase, you can convert it into a uppercase, or if you want a proper case like camel case, you can do that. Or you want to trim leading or trailing white spaces or quotes, you can remove, you can do that. Or you can remove the white spaces, symbols, or accents. Then you can calculate. So so this particular column is an integer, so you can round up to some particular value, or you can have your own custom formula if you want to perform some operation which is not available as part of this calculation. So remember, I showed you that there is one feature which is nothing but pattern matching. So I have clicked on this particular create column from examples. So TBE, transformation by examples. So let me show you. I want to create. So for example, I just want to have only last four digits, because those are the only useful digits for my particular column, and I want to create a new column out of that. So I have just entered the last four values, and let's click. So if you can see, it has automatically understood what exactly a user wants. So I just gave him an example that I want the last four digits. So so how it works, Dataprep internally uses machine learning algorithms in order to understand or give you some auto suggestions. So now let's see if I change it to some particular five digits. So now it has also understood that user wants the last five digits. So you can, if you want some other patterns, you can click, you can view. So what are the unique values for this particular pattern? You can undo these changes or delete, and you can consider this column as a new column, something like that. So I'm just showing you. So let me cancel this and come back. So you can replace, there are so many options. You can replace text or pattern, uh, or you can have if you have some missing or mismatch values, you can convert them, you can replace them with your empty value or zero or null or any custom value which you want, or you can convert the pattern. Then standardization, when I say standardization, it allows you to group particular similar values into one cluster. Then extract. So if you want to extract some numbers or date times out of, or just if there is some date column, and if you just want to extract the month or day of the month, you can do that. uh, and you can count the matches of the data which you have performed. Then you can split columns in by either position or delimiter or interval. Then you can merge columns. Then you can format columns as I showed you. This applies to then I showed you how you can create a column from examples. You can group by. So group by which uh, aggregate functions like sum, average, mean, max, or like that. Then you can either pivot or unpivot table. You can convert values to columns, or you can convert it into objects and arrays. You can filter rows. So if you want to remove duplicate rows, you can do that. Then these are the functions tab functions button, wherein it shows what all function, mathematical aggregation functions, window functions, logical, date time functions which are available as part of that. And if none of this is satisfying, you can write your own custom formula to refine your particular column. Then this is the symbol if then else. So let me show you. So for example, I have this cache result code which has four categories. So what four categories it actually has? So you just have to click on this particular histogram, which will show you what all categories it has in this cache result code. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I have clicked on this first. It shows TCP miss, TCP hit. Here you can see the value. Then this is a TCP mem hit, and this is last is your ERR client abort. So consider I just want to create some new column and assign the label, assign some code to this particular categories, you can do that using this. Then you can join two particular data sets. I will show you, and you can union also. You can comment, you can target. This is nothing but the rapid target which I was talking, and at the last you can have your macros. So, for example, I have so much data. So, how should I do? So you can just so many columns. So you can find your columns from this particular icon, and you can filter your columns and rows using this filters button. So what all transformations it has, you can apply, you can see over here. So for example, I have a split, I want to split. So it will show you how you can split, whether you want to split by interval or positions or delimiters. So this you can use, and if you just cancel, you can see there are categorize it into formulas, schemas, conditions, find and replace, count matches, filter rows, and functions. So, and here this button is shows your recipe. As I mentioned, it is nothing but a sequence of steps which you are. So whenever, if suppose I have converted this particular, if I have deleted this particular column using this, so it will be added to a recipe, and you can see that in this particular steps. So these steps, uh, one after the other, combined together as a recipe, and at last you can see a run job of which is nothing but here also. So pretty much I have covered as part of demo, I think. Let's start with the demo. I will come back to this later on. Let me start. So for demo, I'm going to use this particular lab, which is nothing but creating a data transformation pipeline with Cloud Dataprep. So we are going to create a data transformation pipeline for this particular quick lab. And I have started. I'm using my uh, monthly subscription which I received, and let me enter the password. So I have set up the environment. Let me just accept, confirm. Okay, so we are doing this initial steps, and we need a BigQuery in order to, yes, I need to agree. So we want to create a data set named e-commerce in BigQuery. So I am just showing you where does uh, data prep exist. So data flow, I'm just pinning it because I may need it. And yeah, this is data prep. If you can see, I have pinned this, and now I'm opening a new console for BigQuery, wherein I need to create a data set named e-commerce, and I have to keep all the other values as same. And now how I'm gonna create a table is, yes, using this public data set. I'm just querying this particular data set, which is nothing but the e-commerce data set, and I'm just extracting 1 day data. So it has successfully created the BigQuery data set and table. So let's start with data prep. So as I mentioned, this is a Dataprep as a service which we are going to use. So this is our third party tool. So you need to agree all the terms and conditions. So if you can see, it showed me one notification that product owners who can view. So when I am allowing this particular uh, Trifacta to access my project data, which is nothing but this quick lab GCP. So it is internally creating, means it is providing access to my BigQuery GCS bucket and data flow. Why? Because it why data flow? Because it internally uses your data flow in order to run the recipe or the flow which you have created. And as we have seen, there are import options which include GCS and BigQuery. So you need to have a BigQuery user or data user role to provide access to Dataprep to access your project. So now I have created so this is my table which I need to check whether I can view this particular table in BigQuery. So I'm just gonna create a flow and I'm gonna name it as mentioned in. Yes, I have verified. I have given provided an access in order to integrate my data prep. And now you can see I am just creating a flow wherein you can create multiple recipes, or you can reference data, or you can import data, and which you want to analyze. I don't want any helpers. I'm just gonna import data sets. So what data set? Yes, that is nothing but e-commerce data set which we have here. So I'm just clicking on BigQuery as my source. It has automatically detected e-commerce data set. I'm gonna click here and you can see a preview of this particular data set, and I'm just gonna import this particular data. So we have already we have already explored some other data. So I'm just gonna keep this step. So let's start with task 6, which is nothing but cleaning your data. So how we are going to clean? I don't want this. So for that, you just need to create a new recipe. So if you can see, there is a graph which is created. This is your data and this is your recipe, which you have added, and you need to edit because you have to perform all these transformations, right? So it is loading. So as part of first step, you want to change the data type of product SKU column. Pardon. Uh, okay, so it has loaded the data. Just to confirm, so am I audible? Are you guys following me?
Yeah.
Okay, was okay. Thanks for the confirmation. Okay, so if you can see, this is the data, e-commerce data, and the table name is all sessions raw data prep. So this blue bar, I can say this indicates your valid values. Gray bar indicates missing values, and this red bar indicates your mismatch values. So when you say mismatch values, so just click on that. You can see what all operations auto suggestions it has given. Okay, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna search for products queue, wherein I, as part of first step, I just need to change the data type to string. So I have just applied. If you want to verify whether I have applied, you can see that change products queue type to string. So I have completed this first step. As part of second step, I'm gonna delete item quantity and item revenue columns. Because why I'm gonna delete? Because it all, if you can see, 12,783 missing values. And why missing the and that's why those are null and those are not required for my analysis. So I'm just gonna right click and delete. Okay, let's verify. Yes, I have deleted item quantity, and we need to follow for item revenue also. We just need to delete. Mm, yes. So every time you perform a step, there is you should note that you should click on this recipe and you should see a pointer, and you should verify. Why? Because it may happen that your pointer is not at the step, at the latest step. Okay, so I have completed with these three steps. Now I have to remove duplicates. So as I showed you, there is one filter rows button wherein you can remove duplicate rows, and I just need to add this particular step to my recipe. So you can see this is added as my fourth step. I'm just confirming it. Yes, I'm on the right track. So let's see what next I can do is I can filter out uh, the missing values. So for this particular step, I need to search total transaction revenue. So if you can see, there are only 3,383 values are valid and 9,400 are missing values. So you just need to click on this uh, gray bar which indicates your missing values. You just need to delete rows and add that particular step as part of your recipe. So now if you will see, it was not reflecting in that particular recipe. So yes, this step is completed. Now there is a type column in this particular uh, data set wherein you have two values. One is your page value and other is your event. So we just want the rows which have type equal to page. So I have clicked on this particular uh, histogram for page, and I'm just keeping page values. So if you will see, yes, keep rows where type equal to page. This transformation is added to our recipe. As part of next step, we want to merge the two columns in order to have a unique session ID. So for that, we are going to use full visitor ID and there is a visit ID. So what we are going to do is we are going to merge these two columns. So one column is full visitor ID and other is visit ID. Okay, so I want to merge these two columns using a separator called separator hyphen. Okay, and I want to name it as a unique session ID. So yes, it has concatenated and the step is added and my pointer is at step 7. So let's see, as part of next step, we have a e-commerce action type uh, column. Yes, here it is. So this, if you will see, this particular column has uh, values ranging from 0 to 6. So but that doesn't indicate what exactly 0 means or what does the 6 indicates. So for that, what we are going to do is, let me close this. So we, yeah, so we are going to apply case when, yeah, this is conditional operation. I don't want if else, just yeah, we want case on a single column. So what we want to give an extra information. So what this 0 indicates and what this 1 indicates. So e-commerce action type. So I have, so there here you need to add the key value pairs, in short. So for this particular task, I need to add 8 more steps, because this column indicates what actions you have to perform, what actions codes which indicate. So 0 indicates your unknown. 0 means your unknown. Then 1 indicates that user has clicked through the product list while going through a particular product or while navigating through a particular product. Now your 2 indicates that user has clicked on your product detail page. So yeah, that means he is interested in buying that particular product. 3 indicates that he has added that product to cart. Oh, yes, he is about to buy that product. Now 4 indicates that he has removed that particular product from cart. That means he is not interested in buying that product. Then 5 indicates that he has checked out. 6 indicates that he has completed the purchase for that particular product. 7 indicates that he has he wanted a refund from the purchase which he has done at last. 8 indicates the checkout options. Okay, so we don't want any default value. We just want to rename this, add this new column and name it as a label. So let me just confirm 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and let me add this step. Let's wait. Yes, so if you can see, create label for 9 case statements. And now as part of next step, we want, we just need to navigate to, close this. Yeah, total transaction revenue, if you will see. So if you will see there, for every value, it is multiplied by 10 raised to 6. So what we are going to do as part of the next step is, we are going to divide this particular column values by 10 raised to 6 using a custom formula. So what is that custom formula? Is divide and I'm gonna name it as total transaction revenue 1, and just add this particular step. Okay, let me confirm the pointer. Yes, it is at point 9. And as part of last step, we are going to convert this new column data type. This is our new column. If you can see, it has divided this particular values by 10 raised to 6. What we are going to do is change the this its data type to decimal. So you can click on this and you can just change the data type to decimal. It has applied the steps. Let's confirm. Yeah, so we have completed all the steps, 10 steps, and just I'm gonna verify. Yes, change, delete, then remove duplicates, delete rows, concatenate, create, label, revenue 1, and change the data type. Okay, now I have completed this particular step, all the 10 steps. The challenge for this particular lab is they have not given you the steps how you should run and you should schedule your data prep jobs. So if you can see now, the challenge is now you have satisfied with the flow. It's time to execute the transformation recipe against your source data set. The challenge for you is to load the output of job into BigQuery dataset that you created earlier. Make sure you load the output into a separate table and name it into a revenue or revenue reporting. So if you'll say there are no steps provided how I should load the data into BigQuery. So just I am verifying the steps. I have this 10 steps. So for this, in order to perform this transformations and bunch them into a recipe and run that flow, you need to click on run job. So I have clicked on this run job. If you will see, there are options. Here it is giving you, you can either create CSV, but if you can see what uh, the lab is expecting from me is I want to store the output of data into BigQuery table, which is named as revenue reporting. So it gives you more options how you can run this particular job, whether you want to create a table for every run or append it or truncate or drop the table for every run. So I have set the action as append to BigQuery. You can see a data flow execution settings, and wherein you need to specify region, zone, and machine type, and the VPC networking mode. I am just want to click on run job. So what exactly happens in background? Let's see. So it has launched a job. If you can see, this particular job is in progress, and you can see the destination which we have specified as a revenue reporting table. Environment is data flow, and uh, as it uses data flow to run all your transformations. You can add a scheduled destination in order to automatically run your particular job. Okay, and you can edit this destinations also, but I don't want to edit it for now. I'm just showing you what all options are available. And yes, you can delete the output of this particular job, schedule destinations. So you can schedule this particular job, and you can provide a destination, and you can add a publishing action what you want. Let me go back and show you. So let's see how it runs in your, I'm just clicking on this particular job. So you can see from by clicking this particular button also. This gives you the overview of your job. So if you will see, it is performing this job. The name of this particular job is job ID is this one. It is in progress. When it was created, how many from how many uh, what is the duration from which it is running, and where exactly it is running, and you can view the steps and dependencies. It will again show you the recipe which you have created. You can click on view data flow job. So as I mentioned, it runs data flow job in a backend. So let's see. Then output destinations, where exactly it is going to store. I have not created any profile, so it is not. So dependencies, so this is the graph. So this is our raw data set, and this is the recipe which we have added in order to refine our data. And what is the source for this particular data? It shows all this information when you click on this particular job. So I think this is visible to everybody. This is the particular graph which is has created out of the 10 steps which we have added. So if you can see, this is this green icon, that means it is still running this particular steps. And if you can see the gray bar, that means this it has not reached to this particular step. So whenever you will find this tick sign, that means it has completed this particular step. So if you, let's click on this particular uh, step. So for, remember we had the first step as loading data from the BigQuery source table. So if you will see, it has added 56,989 elements. So how, from where exactly it comes from? So if you will see, there are in total 56,989 rows that it has added. And then it has performed some transformation, map transformation, aggregate transformation, p filter. That means whenever we have filtered, like if you remember, we did for type equal to page. So there comes in your all the transformations. So it uh, in the backend, it creates this particular uh, data flow job out of the steps which you have specified. And yes, this job is still running. If you can see, it has not yet reached this particular uh, step. It is still running. It has not performed. So how I'm going to, so how I'm confirming? So if you see input collections and output collections. So till this step, like we have seen that we had a 56,989 elements which were added as part of this particular input collection. So output from previous step becomes the input for your next step. So as part of first step, 56,989 elements were added. So those get added into next step, which is nothing but your input collection. And output means after applying this p map transform, it has added again the same amount of elements. You can even see the graph of the uh, throughput, or you can have multiple uh, means you can have a graph for throughput estimated bytes per second. So I think so for this p map, the number of elements were same, But if you will see in P filter, we have filtered out so many rows. So if you see in the input collection, we have 56,989, and whereas elements added in the output collection are nothing but 7,446. So like this, it has completed this particular job. How I can verify is I need to refresh this particular BigQuery and let's see whether it has added. Here you can see it has completed this particular job. And let's see, yeah, we have created a revenue reporting table which contains our transformed and prepared, well prepared data, and it has just 6,777 rows, which you can verify from this last tab. Okay, so this is what, and one more thing. So I think I have pretty much covered this particular uh, what are the objects like flows, recipes, imported data sets, sampling. Yeah, so as part of pricing, as it, so there is no charge when you, okay, let me show you. Let me just confirm, check my progress. If you can see, I have completed this lab and I can see the score which is updated. Uh, Yeah, so what I wanted to tell is it doesn't, so whenever you just access your data, import data, create a recipe or flow, you don't need to pay. Means you won't be charged. But yes, you will be charged when you are running your job because it uh, in backend it uses data flow and it is charging for running the data flow job. So that's where the pricing of your data prep comes in. And as it is a third party rule, as I already mentioned, you need data prep user because you want to use data prep from for your particular project, and you need a separate service account so that it can access your GCP buckets, data flow, and BigQuery. You can even have a cross project access, and you can that you can use using other service GC service account. And as I mentioned, it runs data flow in a backend. And what are the supported files types? Yeah, so when I say for upload option, you have uh, you can import from your so even you say import, you can upload, right? So for that, what are the options? Like you can have CSV, JSON, uh, plain text, Excel, log, TSV, and Avro. And in output you can store it as CSV, JSON, Avro, or in a big query table. You can have your CSVs or JSONs compressed or uncompressed, compressed using gzip, snappy, and other compression techniques. And yes, yeah, and the last thing I wanted to show is how you can join your data sets. This is let me show you. Okay, let me cancel this. So remember I imported, so in this I have channel data which uh, is nothing but channel ID and channel name, and I have one streaming data which contains channel ID. So I just wanted to, I have already created a flow for this, and I'm just gonna edit this particular recipe which has channel and this second streaming data tables added. So I have I'm in this particular streaming data recipe. So if you can see, I can join. How I can join? So here you need to select. So I have selected this two particular uh, tables which I wanted to join. I'm accepting this. So now if you can see, it has automatically detected how how I can join this on what join key I can join this particular columns. So you can this so that's why this is very intelligent, because it automatically gives you some suggestions and preference and some patterns as we have seen. Then you can uh, so if you can see, these many rows are there, 8 rows from this particular table. This table is nothing but channel table, and this is you can see this is in orange color, means this is from other table which is nothing but streaming data. And if I you can change the join type, means you can have inner join, right join, left join, outer or cross join if you want. You can even change the join keys if you think that this is not the join key which I wanted to join this particular two data sets. And then you can select what all columns I need to keep and what I want to remove. So I don't, for example, uh, this I don't want channel ID from channel table. I just want the channel name because that is the only required, and I don't want user ID. So users IP from this particular streaming data set. And even you can see in advanced option you can include all columns from your current data or join data that you can do, and you can review that data and you can add that particular. So if you can see, it has shown how it has added this particular columns. So isn't it very easy to review this before joining? You can understand what exactly the outliers are there in my data, and how I can what will be the output of data. So yes, pretty much that is covered. And yeah, thanks. I have covered the demo for this particular quick lab. And you can so thank you, thanks for attending this particular session, and you can connect me on LinkedIn. So yeah, so any questions? Hello.
So everyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and talk to us and ask Supriya anything. Let's have a discussion also.
Um, so,
Yeah,
Supriya, can you go back again to the scheduling part of it in case we have to schedule these pipelines? How do we do it?
yes, yes, just a minute. Yeah, so for scheduling, I have not ended my lab, so let me go back to, yeah, just a minute. I think it shows in the flow. I am the, yeah, so here I created a flow, right? So you can schedule flow, and here you can specify whether I want to run it in which zone I have to run this particular uh, job, or whether what is the frequency, daily, hourly, or weekly. Or if you have some cron job, cron expression, you can specify over it. And if you want to perform on a particular day, You can specify that, and you can show set a time that I want to run this particular job at every 12 a.m. in on Sunday, and you can save the this particular schedule. So once saved, you can view that in, and you can run. You can run. Means it will automatically run. So whenever it will run, it will be creating the data flow pipeline in backend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let me go back to the questions. Yeah, so Satyaram is asking, when data flow job is generated, is it possible to see the code and be able to add or tweak? No, this is not possible, because it all depends. It is all a background process. You cannot view the code, and even we don't know in which language it has written. And I think it is for every step. So for example, when I say where type equal to this, it applies. So this is nothing but a filter transform, so it automatically converts that into uh, uh, data flow transform. So let me give you an overview what exactly data flow is. Data flow is nothing but your serverless, fully managed data processing engine, uh, or component of GCP, wherein you can code. So for that you need to code in Java or Python language, and for it uses Apache Beam uh, in as a coding, as part of coding standards. So therein they have. So there are some concepts regarding your data flow job. So what exactly transform, how it P stands for. So if you will see, this is a P. What does the P indicates? That is a parallel processing. So when it does, it is applying a particular step to all the rows parallelly. So for every step, if you will see, there is, it internally understand which transform it has to apply, and that's why you cannot. So if you will see P map, so remember, so aggregate. So if you it is just aggregating the data like that, but you cannot view the code. But yeah, if you want to see logs, I think logs is also not possible. Yeah, so answer for this question is no, you cannot. So if you want to do any changes, you have to add that in your recipe only. Okay, then Alberto is asking, would you share the PPT? Yeah, I will share. How how does user permission and service account gets created? So whenever you click on, so let me show you. Yeah, this is okay. I am. So whenever you click on data prep, so it allows, so it gives you a buttons, so that you should allow this data prep to use particular data sets from this particular project, or means what are the components you want to use. So if you will see, when you click on allow, already some permissions, or yeah. So do you remember I said in my test, I mentioned that these particular, yeah, Dataprep service account is this got created. So if you will see, I think we can herein you will have you will see all the uh, roles which it needs. So for example, I mentioned data flow developer. Why? Because this is a third party tool, and they and you want to run data flow job, so that's why you need a data flow developer. Then you need to write, or you need to read from buckets. That's why you need to access GCP buckets, sorry, GCS buckets. So that's why you need a role for GCS buckets. And you again, you can import or export into BigQuery. That's why you need a rule for this BigQuery in order to integrate these particular three components with your data frame. So I hope this answers your question. Uh, Trifecta or Dataprep creates code required for data flow to process data. Yeah. So whenever we are allowing, as I mentioned, it internally integrates your Dataprep integrates your project components such as GCS, BigQuery, and data flow, and that's why uh, it needs these permissions. And then, yeah, I think any other questions?
Well, if there are no further questions, then I want to thank Supriya from the whole community for your presentation. Oh, I see Daniel put it mask on. Now it's getting dangerous. He's doing shopping. Great.
It's
Good shopping.
mandatory in our town. It's mandatory when you are indoor.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
tried to listen in, so sorry, I couldn't focus fully.
Amazing. You see, Supriya, how demanded you are. Daniel even tuned in from his shopping, you know.
Thanks,
Great.
Daniel.
Thank
So,
you for organizing
yeah,
this.
this was my first presentation and first session which I conducted, and I would like to thank you, Karen, for even I was not sure whether how should I conduct. I should, and he even helped me in uh, presentations also, because I am not that good in creating presentations, but with the help of his tips, I was able to create a good presentation PPT, which I will share with you all guys. And yeah, let me know if you need any further sessions on any other topics. And by the way, I am a data engineer, senior data engineer, working in a Google Cloud from 2 years, and I have an overall experience of 6+ years. And I started my career with Java, then I moved into some front-end technologies. I have done integration with Oracle cloud services, which are nothing but Oracle Right Now, Marketing Cloud, and uh, Oracle Fusion. And I know little bit of front end, which I worked, and then I moved into big data because that's what I wanted to make a career into, and I got into. And luckily, I got a chance to work with Google Cloud, and wherein I completed the GCP Data Engineer certification also. And yeah, I feel very uh, lucky to get to be worked in Google Cloud, because many people ask me, "Are you really working in Google Cloud?" So there are so many people, they are doing certifications, but they are not getting jobs. So I think, yeah, I'm pretty lucky one for that. Yeah, thanks all for attending my session, and thanks Karen and all the community members for motivating me. Thank you.